Very warm welcome to all our viewers and esteemed panelists. On behalf of SCAI, we thank you for joining today's online workshop on ESG and green initiatives in shopping malls. Today's workshop is particularly significant as it features distinguished experts who will be sharing their deep knowledge and extensive experience in the field. We look forward to a thought-provoking and insightful session ahead. Let's meet the inspiring group of industry leaders we have with us today. Nilesh Singh is Senior Vice President ESG and Business Excellence, Nexus Select Malls Group. Shabbir Kanchwala is Principal, Global Network Zero, USA. Ashwin Balsubramanam, he is a CEO of Brookefields Estates Private Limited. Ashwin will be moderating the session. So before I hand over it to Ashwin, viewers, feel free to submit your questions. The panel will address them at the end of the session. Now over to Ashwin. Ashwin, all yours.
Thank you, Anjeev sir. Firstly, I would like to thank Anjeev sir and the team at SCAI for curating these sort of sessions. I think it's a great chance to learn and pick the brains of fellow people in the mall industry, and then you can incorporate them in your own centers and see how we can operate better. So thank you, Anjeev sir and the team at SCAI, Sachin and everyone else. So without any further delay, let me start. So what are the driving forces of ESG? Why should any developer adopt it? Obviously, other than the rules, regulations and governmental norms aside, what can be the driving force between adopting ESG norms? Personally, in my experience running one center in Coimbatore, I found that a lot of these norms actually do impact the bottom line. They do actually enhance the bottom line. So people like to say win-win, but these are truly win-win, where you can actually make more profits while at the same time reaching sustainability goals or having a more sustainable approach to business. So I would like to hear from each of the panelists. Let's start with Nilesh sir. He's with Nexus, and I'm sure he's implemented this across many malls. What are the driving forces to adopt ESG in your centers?
Thank you, Ashwini. That's a good question to start the discussion with. ESG today at Nexus is far more than just regulatory compliances, Ashwini, right? Yes, there are quite a few frameworks and compliances which help us to probably start the journey. But the real momentum comes only from our investors, tenants, our consumers, and our own internal purpose, Ashwini. So at Nexus, we say that ESG is not a department; it is the way we work, right? So that is how we started our journey in ESG. Having said that, even the compliances have evolved a lot, Ashwini, right? So, for example, BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainable Reporting. This is SEBI has mandated top 1,000 listed companies to report BRSR annually along with the annual reports. Due to REIT regulations, we are not mandated, but we are still doing it for last 2 years. So BRSR, they ask you to report on emission norms, your water usage, your energy mix, diversity, your board governance, and your CSR initiatives. So we are seeing an evolvement. Even we have seen such reporting or such compliances evolving with time. BRSR core, which is about to hit next year, where they will ask companies to data assure each and everything that we report. So the compliances, they have their own journey. They are also improving, but ESG today has become more of a investor mandate, Ashwin. So anyone who is putting in money in a company wants to know how well the company is being run, right? Our REIT performance is directly linked to ESG. We scored 92 out of 100 in our GRESB score. GRESB is Global Real Estate Sustainability Benchmark. So anyone who understands, especially our investors who understand ESG a bit, they will know, looking at these scores, on how well the company functions or how well the company operates across the E, S and G parameter. We are also seeing a lot of our tenants, our own stores, increasingly asking us for our ESG scores or ESG parameters, and they are being choosy in terms of when they want to select the developer, especially the international brands, whether they want to open with a particular mall or go to the next mall. These are few parameters that they have started looking for. Our own, as you said, it helps us improve our operational efficiency. There are parameters, there are data points that you once start monitoring, like your energy, water, waste, that we'll be discussing later in this webinar. You start controlling those costs. You will see your operational costs going down month over month, year over year. This also is becoming a new consumer trend, Ashwin. I'm sure Shabbir will also touch upon this. More and more customers are choosing brands or choosing the place from where they want to shop based on how that place or how that brand reflects with their own values, right? So people are becoming more conscious around the ESG, and their shopping patterns or shopping habits are being governed by such decisions. ESG also has become like a long-term customer loyalty enabler, Ashwin. That's for Nexus, Ashwin.
Thank you. Just one question. That BRSR, could you just expand for what are the guidelines that you had mentioned?
Right. So BRSR, Ashwin, is a SEBI mandate where, as I said, the top 1,000 companies have to disclose their performance in the annual year along with the annual reports that they publish. This document is available for the investors and to the general public at large to see. The BRSR is spread across 9 different sections, Ashwin. And as I mentioned, it has points on energy, it has points on water, it has points on their emissions, it has points on your diversity. So a detailed explanation is in a very set format which SEBI has mandated, is given to given along with the annual report for publishing. Ashwin.
Yeah. Thank you, Nilesh. Now, moving on to Shabbir. I think Shabbir helps certify buildings, organizations on the compliances, and I think who better than to hear it from him as to why developers should adopt this and what are the benefits.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashwin. So, as one of the premier certification bodies in net zero in the world, we are seeing a lot of traction both from asset management companies in India as well as malls in India. Having said that, obviously the driving forces, say for office and a mall is different, but for a mall primarily, they would probably look at the market requirements and the financial requirements, and of course what we talk as risk management or reputational factors. So the financial drivers are obviously different when you want to look at getting green bonds or green finance. if you are a listed company, there is investor pressure on ensuring that you are, working towards, compliant ESG principles. And with this, comes a cherry in the picking that, that there are operational cost savings in terms of, power and water for the mall. There is a certain amount of customer demand which is obviously coming in for developers, the corporate tenants, for asset management companies with whom we are working for. They have individually pressurized, the asset management companies to ensure that, they have a ESG plan in place, they have a net zero plan in place, and then they work towards that. The mall, the owners or the people whom they try and lease out, especially the anchor stores, which are actually all MNC companies, they look at giving you a premium pricing when you have your ESG goals and net zero goals in place. Having said that, India is obviously globally aligned with the various requirements of, say, the Paris Agreement, which is where India said that it will become net zero by 2070. And there are intermediate targets of 2030, 2040 to move towards that. So this kind of helps each malls, to be a brand differentiator. So whether it's a Nexus mall or whether it's an in-orbit mall, or for that matter, we are working with some malls in tier 2 cities. They are looking at setting up ESG and net zero malls in place. Then there is a trend and there is a technological trend, right? The technology which ensures that the ESG requirement is in place helps in the overall business scenario, for the retail sector. Thank you.
Just building up on that, I think you touched upon a very good topic that, as technology advances, these things do become better. Can you just, what are the trends that you are seeing with regards to technology in the cross sections of technology and ESG of it, which you can throw some light for the audience, maybe for me as well.
Sorry, Shabbir, please.
You go ahead.
No, please, Shabbir.
No, you are the you are the guys implementing the technology. So.
Right. We have talked about IoTs last time when we did this webinar. So we actually implemented IoTs in our malls, Ashwin. So we are able to track our energy consumption real time across equipment. So we exactly know which equipment was run for how long and what kind of energy consumptions have been used. Something new that we have started doing is, or we want to do is, link up AI with our solar generation. We want to actually see how weather patterns is impacting our RE generations, solar unit generations, right? So today we know that when there is an overcast sky, the solar generation will be less. But how does it impact? Can it be quantified? Can we using AI, can we schedule our maintenance services across these solar panels in a more effective way? So very good question, Ashwin. These are just few things that we are doing here.
Shabbir sir, your inputs.
Yeah, thank you. So, what Nilesh, what you just mentioned is actually happening, across the world in terms of when we are working with a project in the US and Mexico where they're doing exactly what you're saying. So Mexico being a climate which is similar to India. Having said that, when you look at various technology, whether it is the efficient cooling system or whether you look at once you know where you are in terms of your assessment of your mall, and then the next step towards technology and the trends can be taken place. So whether it is using of smart mall technologies or leak detection or smart metering, all that work towards the fact that your shopkeepers are going to be paying less power bills and less water bills. So when you have a particular ESG plan in place and along the fact that, okay, you want to move towards a net zero plan of zero water and zero energy, having a solar plant in place, seeing the various technologies which happen. Like in India, there are particular issues with solar technology, in the sense, I would not say issues, but the heat and dust. So there is a dust element which is there. So you need wipers. Then of course there are risk issues in terms of security issues in terms of things getting stolen. When you look at the way the climate is changing, right? They're now like, I come from Mumbai, and now it's like it used to rain very evenly June, July, August, but now it just pours for 4 or 5 days and then it stops for 15-20 days. So because of that, the whole pattern of solar generation across the world are changing, and technologies are evolving. Now, whether it is AI helping and to ensure that, okay, now for the next 7 days this is going to be a weather pattern, and this is how I need to so if there are surplus solar panels, whether they need to be in place. So things are very exciting in terms of how this industry is shaping up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's just focus a little bit more on the environment part, the E part, the ESG. Is it adequate to just think of it as, like, say, water, energy, and waste, or is there another dimension when it comes to environmental sustainability within a model? And what are the operational challenges in each of these things when trying to go to net zero or reduce your waste? If we can start with Nilesh sir, and then what Shabbir, like, is there another dimension that I'm missing, and what are the operational challenges in each of these, be it energy consumption mix, which they've encountered, and how they overcame such challenges?
Sure. So, Ashwin, energy, water, waste is definitely the key pillars under environment. And these are good start points for any new mall or any new asset if they are starting the ESG journey. Also because these things can be measured, right? So you can measure energy, you can measure water, you can measure waste, you can actually quantify these three things, right? So your progress can be quantified. Having achieved progress on these three, there are other things like biodiversity and climate risk that probably more evolved malls or assets can probably start looking into. But on a whole, energy, water, waste is definitely the key start points as far as environment is concerned. Let me just break down energy for you, Ashwin. At Nexus, we crossed almost 55% of our total energy consumption through green sources. This is only for the common areas, Ashwin. And this is, mind you, this is across all our 19 malls that we have, Ashwin, right? So we're almost there, 55%, more, over 60 megawatt of rooftop solar plus wind installed across India. Last week, we commissioned a 13 megawatt project in Pavagadh, Karnataka, Ashwin. That itself will save around 19 million units in a year, right? And this will cater to all the 4 Bangalore malls that we have. Waste that you mentioned, our malls, they divert around 98% of the waste from landfills. Now, all these data that I am sharing, Ashwin, this was not achieved from day one. When we started measuring, probably this number was 63, some 3 years, 4 years earlier. The team has worked very hard to move these numbers from 63 to 98. So the effort was in making sure that we dispose of waste, first identify waste and then dispose it off responsibly. Just to give you some more numbers, we annually dispose of around 12,000 tons of waste, right, responsibly. And mind you, this is not our waste. This is waste that we dispose of on behalf of the 3,000 stores that we have, retailers that we have. We also try and repurpose these waste creatively. In fact, we have a best out of waste competition happening at our malls right now. We have done some work around it in our Nexus Vijaya Mall in Chennai and in Nexus Select City Walk in Delhi, where we have converted our waste into artifacts which have become props inside the mall, and customers they take selfies with it. Water. All our malls today are on zero liquid discharge, Ashwin. And there's an internal joke within Nexus that we keep recycling the water till it evaporates, till that water evaporates. We also do a lot of water conservation work outside the mall. So we have rejuvenated 8 lakes, Ashwin, out of the 12 that we have adopted. When we started this journey, it was more of a beautification work that we thought it will be, but it is a proper rejuvenation that we do. I mean, we make the lakes deeper, we strengthen the bund walls, and then we wait for the rains to fill it up. To give you an example, the first lake that we rejuvenated was in Bangalore, Bannerghatta, very close to the national park. It is now a watering hole for elephants. We have elephants coming and drinking water from that place. We have rejuvenated 2 lakes in Chennai. These 2 lakes are right next to a temple which is 600 years old, right? So we are creating not only doing water conservation but also contributing to the community back. So that's my take on the environment, Ashwin.
Thank you, Nilesh sir. Sir, if I could press you further, can you give us like one quick win or easy hanging fruits in each of these areas which you think that a mall getting off at ESG or wanting to start, like energy in waste and in this thing?
Absolutely. So energy, solar rooftop is a easy pick, right, Ashwin? Most of the malls have a bit of terrace space where we can put solar panels. That should be the start. 100 kilowatt or a 200 kilowatt, it may not sound much, but it's a good start, right? Once we start seeing the benefits there, and mind you, the return on investments on these are not very long. Within 3 or 4 years, you get your money back, and whatever then you save is totally contributing.
You have financing options also.
Correct. And there are operators which give you this as a service. So they will install this for you, and probably they'll charge a bit more than what you would have actually saved. But you will still save a substantial number there. Water and even on energy, HVAC upgrades. The malls that we buy, we get them in different life cycles, Ashwin. There are a few projects which are almost 21, 22 years old, and the chillers and the cooling towers probably need an upgrade or a complete replacement. And we have seen payback period of almost 2 years, 2.5 years, even in such projects where we have replaced our chillers. And the chillers today are much more advanced and much more efficient than what it was 20 years back. Things like STP upgrades, we have done it at quite a few of our malls, and hence we reached to the zero liquid discharge across all our malls. And the payback period is again probably 18 to 24 months in those cases. So these are few easy wins, Ashwin, across energy, water and waste that our malls and other malls can probably opt for.
Okay. Shabbir sir, your inputs on water, waste and energy, and possibly if you can give us few easy implementable solutions across malls, more than what Nilesh was already.
So you did mention about whether you're missing any aspects. So one particular aspect I think which should be very carefully looked at is what they call circular economy, in the world. So if you look at the retail part in terms of how you're going to, circulate your entire, say, whether it's a bag which you give out to your customer. Like in Europe now, there is an app that if you were to buy jeans in Europe, in the EU region, you cannot dispose the jeans for the next 5 years because your receipt and all that, the whole thing is on the app. And if you were to go to recycle the jeans, you are not supposed to do it for the next 5 years. So the trend across the world is one step forward in terms of. But I guess the millenniums in India are also something which are actually driving this in terms of the circular economy or waste management. If you look at the fact that whether you look at water, waste or energy, whether you look at all kinds of systems in terms of how you want to do this, segregation in our country has actually happened, say maybe in the last 7 or 8 years, where all the local municipalities have looked at segregation very seriously in terms of what they want to do. What we also what we call as waste tracking and audits. So when you track the waste, is there an audit on that? Is there a benchmarking on that in terms of how you can look at? So whether you use digital monitoring dashboards in terms of how this whole thing can work for energy, water and waste. So the top management has a daily view in terms of what kind of water, energy and waste is happening across the malls. So this kind of helps the facility management team also to be on their toes in ensuring that they work towards energy efficiency improvements and maintain and manage that. So that's very important. Thank you.
What are back to Nilesh, I think we covered some operational issues in each of these areas. I think Nilesh briefly also covered rough payback periods and all that. What are what are the returns of capital outlay and what are the return expectations in some of that? If some detail, especially like for solar, that could be like a good motivating factor for some of them to implement that. But like if you can shed some light on how little bit more detail on that. You've already covered
yes.
large.
Yes.
I agree that some of this could be geography dependent and so on. But yeah.
I agree with you, Ashwin. I mean, there are real and practical concerns, especially when it comes to investing money in ESG-related initiatives. But what we have found is the return on investment is very, very strong. I gave you examples. Depending on which malls or which assets, which state, a solar project can range from, the return on solar project could range from 3 to 5 years. And it's not always about money, Ashwin. And the question is not if we can afford it. The question is if we can afford not to, right? That should be the question that each one of us should be asking. And as I said, it's not always about money. There are other constraints like space, right? Just before this call, we were discussing about the battery option of battery storage as well, right? If I do it at the mall, it will take a lot of space. Same is the problem with rooftop solar. I want to do a lot, but we have exhausted the space that we have on the rooftops, right? So I can't expand there. I'll have to do a project probably outside the mall and draw power from there, which we have done quite a few. We have 4 active off-site solar projects, Karnataka, 2 in Karnataka, Ahmedabad, Maharashtra and Chennai. Then there are regulatory approvals as well, Ashwin, which delay the process, right? So not that we don't get it, but it usually comes after a lot of effort and after a lot of delays. And the regulatory regulations are different in different states, which further complicates for companies like us who have malls across 15 cities, right? Shabbir spoke about some tech advancements that we can implement at our malls. Our malls are also present in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? Getting vendors to do these implementations or to manage it on a day-to-day basis is also a challenge, right? Either we have to send people from Bangalore or we have to send people from Mumbai or Delhi to do such implementation. But if there's a maintenance required, then there's an additional cost either to us or to the agency that we are sending them to. So yeah, I mean, those are few challenges that we face across, right? But if there's a will, there is a way, always.
Now, just coming back to Shabbir sir, I think we've discussed a lot of this thing, and since you are from a certification background, I think do you suggest that malls or buildings who have not implemented this get like a sort of consultancy and a scorecard, and then see how best we can start implementing it? As certification, do you also offer such a service, or do you think there is value in getting something like a health checkup, a ESG checkup sort of thing for people?
Yeah. So basically, like I said, in at Global Network 2.0, we have a software platform where you can actually get assessed in where you are, which includes technology also. So having said that, when you look at the capital outlay which you just mentioned, so there are businesses across the world, including India, who look at businesses in the long term, and like Nilesh mentioned, it's not only the cost. They look at this business in the medium to long term, where cost is one aspect. There are various other aspects in terms of whether it's an ROI or whether it's finance or it is a compliance and regulatory costs. So, I mean, there is obviously a cost of doing business, but there is also a cost of doing business responsibility, and in a way that it will help the businesses in the medium term and long term. Having said that, when integration challenges remain, Ashwin, in terms of how technologies work. So if we look at a particular implementation and technology in an X mall, and then you want to do it in a Y mall, and then you would look at because when you have a building management system, unfortunately in our country, the person who actually operates the building management system is a guy who's paid $10,000-15,000, and he is just learning on the job. So if you were to look at the same thing in Israel, those guys are actually engineers who actually run the entire show in terms of ensuring that whether it is energy, water, waste, corrective actions are taken immediately. There is a daily outflow in terms of numbers, in terms of actual savings to the middle and top management. So those kind of things are slowly getting evolved in the retail sector here, in terms of how we can do this. Yes, there are economic and market risks in any business, and so as in this. And when you look at saying that, okay, I have a certain ROI on a particular technology, or I have a certain ROI on a particular way of doing things, technology has changed so fast. So, but I guess I've seen specifically not malls in India, but across the world, where they've started using AI maybe in the last 6 months in terms of lowering their return on investment costs. So, but then when you look at an ROI, it might be 2-3 years, and when they look at when they use AI, they're pleasantly surprised that things can be done in a much faster and better way. Thank you.
We'll just move on to the social bit. My 2 cents is, I think when we look at malls, I always see them as social infrastructure, right? It's a place where people of a city town come for not more than shopping. I think there's a lot more. There's restaurants, there's obviously entertainment, or just to spend time. So I see them as an integral part of society. So it cannot be seen as outside of it. So So I want each of the participants to cover what malls can do to implement key areas to focus on the social bit of the ESG, right? Whether it be through I think their CSR allocations, like Nilesh had already covered that to some extent about the great projects that they've done, or including their responsibility to their employees, tenants, etc. I think if we can just cover the social angle a little bit, both participants can give their viewpoints.
Sure, Ashwin. So, as you rightly said, I mean, malls today, they have become, they were always community centers, right? And it was not just for shopping. The S in ESG covers or talks about how we treat people, our own teams, our tenants, our shoppers, our consumers, and the communities around, right? So, let me give you some examples. Almost 30% of our workforce today, including the agency, they are from diverse background, Ashwin. When I say diverse, it includes 26% of women working with us, and they are the smarter bunch compared to the rest of the 73%. 2% are people from disabilities, and the remaining 2% are people from sports background, or they have ex-army or ex-navy or ex-services personnel. These numbers, they were, it was not always there, Ashwin. We work towards it, and this includes some intentional hirings, upskilling, and also some policy reforms done by HRT, and on-ground work by our teams, working with the agency staff, working with the vendors that we have, and achieving these numbers. Long-term goal, we want to mirror the society or the community that we serve, right? So usually our malls see a 60-40 split, where 60% of our shoppers are men and 40% are women. We want to get to that kind of level very soon. There are challenges, but I'm sure we will get there. Our well-being score is in excess of 95 out of 100, Ashwin. We have learning platforms, we have apps on our phones which takes care of my own personal development, and not only our own employees, we also have apps for our third-party employees, Ashwin, where a housekeeper or a security guard at the mall can actually see the progress that they have done over last 1 year. There are tests which are conducted on these apps, and they can take those tests on the mobile phone itself. We have been rated as a great place to work for last 5 consequent years, Ashwin. That was on the employee bit. We do a lot of events with retailers to engage them at various levels. Our retailer satisfaction scores are in again excess of 95 out of 100. And we do monthly surveys to track their satisfaction levels, to see where we can improve on, and to take any corrective steps. Community outreach, I mentioned about the Lake of Happiness project that we have, which I covered under environment. In addition to that, we have a Happiness for Her program, Ashwin, where we take care of the menstrual, or we attend to the menstrual hygiene concerns that we have in the society and in the towns that we are present in. We have already impacted lives of almost 1 lakh ladies through Happiness for Her program, and the target that we have is to touch upon at least 3 lakh ladies by 2030. Part of this Happiness for Her program also means that we distribute sanitary pads to the people who actually need it. Blood donation drives is it has become like an annual event now. We have tied up with such NGOs who work towards thalassemia patients, and we have week-long programs where we collect or do blood donation drives at our malls, and our own employees and consumers are part of that. So that was on the community outreach as far as Nexus Select is concerned, Ashwin.
Thank you. There are some great pointers like the blood donation, hiring patterns. I think we'll hear Shabbir sir's input on the social bit and perhaps then move to audience questions for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. So what we have seen is, if your E and the success of E and G in the ESG will happen only if you actually take care of the social part, because whether it's an employee or your workman in the mall, they kind of wait and watch, how the management behaves in terms of how they get engaged, or how they look at ethical labor practices, or what is the engagement with them, what are the transparency levels. So employee well-being and rights is something which is obviously the general generation Z is very much into ensuring that they work for a mall with responsible, sustainable practices. Having said that, what we would encourage, when you work on a net zero plan, and then you work on the fact that, okay, you have got the hard things in place. You've got technology, you've got conservation, you've got maybe safety programs, but all this will work together only if you're able to ensure that the technology integration and the community development and your supply chain, as well as all these need to marry together, right? So if my supplier is giving you a particular product which is of a different which is not within the ESG framework, or even if he's giving within the ESG framework, and if you look at says scope 3 emissions, scope 1, scope 2 is easy. Scope 3 emissions are something which need to be worked on in terms of ensuring that your suppliers also fall in place with their employees, with their health and safety programs, and ensure. So one is obviously each of the permanent employees of the mall have a social KPIs. They get reported, and they are based on that. The increments are on that. Part of the increments flow out from that. So when you see the entire circle of the ESG, yes, there was a time when probably S was not looked at so important as E or G. I mean, you don't have a choice with G, right? You need to do G. So, but I was pleasantly surprised to hear what Nexus Mall has worked on in terms of ensuring that they've taken care of the soft part also as seriously as the E part. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Now I think we've got another 15 to 16 minutes. I think we can leave that for some audience questions. Anjeev sir, Sachin, if you could direct the questions.
Nilesh, one thing I want to know, that installing solar panel, don't you think it's a very expensive affair, number one? And number two, what is the life of these solar panels? How long do they last?
It is expensive, sir. It is expensive. I mean, 1 megawatt probably solar panels will cost you around 4 to 5 CR. So, but like I was mentioning, the return on investment is really quick, right? Depending on the rates in Maharashtra, unit rates in Maharashtra are as high as 19 rupees, 20 rupees. So the payback is equally faster. Life really depends on how well we maintain it. There is a regular cleaning which needs to happen, and it's a very specialized cleaning. I think Ashwin touched upon it some time back. But usually we have seen anywhere between 20 to 25 years is what they last. Right.
Okay.
So I think if I can just add, one challenge is also the technology actually improves really fast, and the pricing has come down a lot. Of course, return on investment, the panel prices have come down a lot, let's say compared to 4 years back and 3 years back, or even 6 or 1 month back. So, and the technology of the panels also is increasing. It's not very unlike your, let's say USB drive. I think all of us would remember paying 1,000 rupees for 1 MB, and today you're getting 2 TB drives for like 400 rupees.
Correct.
So I think there's
very true. So, Anjeev sir, we already have few solar plants that we inherited because of the
Okay.
model we acquired, and those are almost 12 years, 13 years old solar plants. We are actually looking at probably replacing those solar panels because of the technological advancement that Ashwin spoke about. So probably we'll be able to generate more electricity than what it is doing today. So
Do we get any support from the government if we install alternative sources of energy?
sir, those changes are coming, sir. Those changes are coming, but it's not very substantial. We do get some benefit in terms of the loans and the capex depreciations that we do for these assets, but nothing more than that.
Okay. Yeah, we do get, like SBI has a collateral-free loan. As in, only the plant can be a collateral, and there are a few things. Depreciation is there, and I think if you're generating these things, and if you can go through an agency, you can get renewable energy certificates. It's not a lot, but I think if my calculations are right, around if you are saving around 1 crore or so in I'm sorry, at least if you're generating around 80 to 1 crore 80 lakhs to 1 crore unit, you can at current prices get around 10 to 12 lakhs in terms of selling the RECs that you have.
Correct.
Okay.
So this can be like an alternate source of income. So all of these sort of supports make it, but inherently it's viable. So there is no sense not to do it if you've got additional capital.
Okay, now I have got a question from Mr. Sanjay Rawat. He's asking, what are the biggest barrier to implement the ESG in India in terms of willingness, resources, and compliance?
Can I take that, sir? I'm sure everyone can answer this.
Yeah.
The barrier is all in our minds, sir, right? I mean, we have all grown up. I recently met a US counterpart, and I was giving this example to him that as kids we have worshipped water bodies and trees, you know. So we have these qualities already inbuilt in us, right? As kids, I'm sure we were told to switch off the electricity or the fan or the lights when we move out of the rooms. So if we are willing to do all those, nothing can stop us, right? The next barrier probably is on the finance. We spoke about it at length, right? But most of the financial investments have a clear return on investment. So you can get your money back within a certain period, as long as what we are investing in is the correct thing, right? Compliances, Shabbir, do you want to speak about compliances? How it will probably...
Oh, because when you look at energy, then it's a state subjects, it's concurrent subjects. You have to go to a municipality, you have to go. So those compliance issues are not going to go away so fast. You have to look at it on a state-by-state basis as far as energy is concerned. As far as what water is concerned, obviously in our country, water is a very scarce resource, compared to say Europe or US, and that is something which I guess I've seen all malls working on. Whether you look at low water faucet urinals or low water taps, you ensure recycle water in your WC. So the compliances are like, say, MOEF in India. There are a lot of these compliances which are inherently built into the permissions. So I guess that works in some form. And the government of India is very focused on ensuring that they have a very large focus on solar. So that's helping all of us, including asset management and all companies.
Mr. Shiv Sagar Shah, he is writing, biggest barrier is the customer mindset who feels that hand dryers are not fit instead of tissue paper, wherein we are wasting a lot in terms of carbon footprints and trees. Similar other facilities also can be considered as well. It's your observation. It's fine as you look at the things. So,
in this, I don't know where I read. I think as of last year,
yeah,
the global production of paper has moved more from recycled than from virgin paper fresh. And most of these days, like even if you look at PNPL, they have their own, that they grow their own, grow and then use it accordingly. So it's not as if they're cutting trees per se. That's as far as paper. I think unknown to us, a lot of things are also happening in the background.
Yeah. And there are a lot of awareness already happening. So what Sib has mentioned is partially true, but consumers or customers are people like us, right? So if we stop doing it, I'm sure the customers will change as well, right? So if given a choice, probably I'll drink out of a glass rather than a water bottle. So,
Shabbir, since you are a consultant, so just enlighten us that these are alternative sources of energy. The upcoming malls, are they really sensitive? They're adopting this, or basically it is the cost factor that resists them from adopting these alternative sources?
So,
and what is the approximate percentage of malls going for alternative sources?
So, I come from a certifying body. Of course, we plans employ consultants in terms of how they, work on this. So, having said that, new malls or existing malls or bought out malls, now, in the last 3 or 4 years, people have moved towards the fact that they will work towards it. It's not, something which needed a lot of convincing of the top management. Large malls in, like we are working with a mall in Nagpur, and it was those guys who reached out to us, in terms of ensuring that we want to do the entire ESG and net zero compliance. It's not compulsory. It's not something which is again investor driven. It is not, but it is something which, Nagpur as a city, they are very proud of the fact that they're one of the cleanest city. They are part of the PM Yojana program. There is a lot of, what should I say? They're proud of the fact that, how they do business. So yes, progressive owners and progressive companies are looking at that even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Mr. Jishnu Bhattacharya, he is writing on the social angle, what are the top 5 initiatives that you think would impact and facilitate the society? Very interesting question.
Ashwin, do you want to go first on this?
Top 5, I think, I think Nilesh sir has covered a few, and we have not done it. I feel like we have to incorporate many of these things. Like one is obviously diversified hiring. I think you've covered things like ex-servicemen and disabled people. I think there are a lot of roles where we can incorporate them, and I think this is a great service to society. Actually, I think that's a great pointer that I take, and then I see how we can do it in our organization. That's one takeaway for me as far as this conversation goes. Then we also do regular blood donation camp. Like I think you used the right word, community center. So there must be some sort of community engagement always for good causes, for the city, for the locality. I think whatever you can do, I think it's difficult to put a finger and say this is what you must do, but engage the community in and around you in a productive manner. It can be through blood donation camps, or it can be through some cleanliness drives. I think these are great ways to engage the community around you. employee happiness and score. I think training, upskilling people. I think I personally, I feel like I think here an admission is we don't do that as much as we ought to do it. I think that's something again I will take away from this conversation. So these are at least 3 of the 5 things I think that will stand out. I think Nilesh sir can.
Yeah, in fact, we have another initiative called Grow Your Happiness, where we have so the solar rooftops that we have put them on stilts, and we grow vegetables below that. And
oh, great!
Yeah, and each of the employees, each of our tenants, they have a particular section that they have to take care of and to tend to it. So, Jishnu, what I'll suggest is don't focus on the number. You pick 1 or 2 concerns or the issues that you see around your mall, around your city, and just focus on it and make some impactful change on those the concerns or the initiatives that you have identified. Don't go by just number. You try and fix few things first. Start with your own people, then move to the agency staff, then move to your consumers, and then the community at large, right?
Okay, anonymous attendee. Okay. He is writing that do we think ESG will become a mandate reporting in times ahead for all shopping malls? How many of the malls are prepared for this reporting as per you in India? It's very difficult. How can you quantify?
Shabbir?
Yeah,
You're the compliance man.
He can give some idea.
Right now, I think the government of India has just set first 1,000 listed companies you have to report, right? Which obviously includes some mall companies. Now, for all malls to report on ESG, the challenges, like we discussed, were multifold, right? In terms of how they want to do business and how they want to look at doing this. So, unless there is a government mandate which will force, to start with, if there is a government regulation which says that it's mandatory for all retail in India of a certain size to go and do ESG reporting, it's not going to happen soon, because like I said, progressive mall owners, progressive anchor clients, they would want to do this willingly, but there would need to be a regulatory push by the government, whether it's the state government or the government of India, in ensuring that the mall business reports ESG on a yearly basis.
And Anjeev sir, I also feel that it may not be ESG reporting, but there are various compliances that each of our malls have to adhere to even today, which form part of ESG as well, like MUF clearance. You have CTOs licenses, the annual renewal of those licenses, annual renewal of the shop establishments, annual we have those labor inspectors coming and checking our compliances. So these reporting do exist, just that it's not
all ESG.
Correct, it's not consolidated today, but bits and pieces do exist even today as well. We still have to file our DG fees every year, right? So in bits and pieces we are still covered, but I think this will take time, as Shabbir mentioned, to come as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, you need to comply to the Environment Protection Act 1986, Water Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1974, the
Correct.
Air Prevention Control 1981. So all this is compliance, So yeah, I guess in ESG there is more than compliance, but I think we're slowly moving towards that.
Achha, what is the scenario in tier 3 and tier 4 cities? Because now malls are coming in tier 3s and tier 4 cities. Of course, they have covered tier 2 cities, tier 1, they are, but now the area which is left or where the developers are focusing, it is tier 3 and tier 4 cities. What is the scenario there? Are they friendly to this new upcoming technology?
So you're talking about the local authorities, you mean, or?
Of course, local authorities.
So the awareness is there. They know that there is a change which is coming, but they probably would not be updated on the recent GRs or that the government might have taken out. There is a bit of challenge when it comes to convincing them for certain approvals if required. Ashwin, you have a mall in Coimbatore. Your experience on that?
See, I think as far as like you said, it's all mostly bits and pieces. Like for example, the corporation, they do have some guidelines as far as waste is concerned. So they need segregated waste. They've got us to install they said, but we had done it even prior to they made it mandate is to compost the waste within our premises so that all the wet waste we don't have to send it along with them. So there is no like an overall ESG scorecard that they monitor, but certain departments they need to enforce their bits. For example, the corporation and waste they do their bit in trying to enforce some sort of classifying us as bulk waste generators, and therefore having certain compliances done in that thing. As far as the water is concerned and energy is concerned, I don't see it, but at least in the waste area of waste, I think there is a lot of push from the corporation to segregate it, to manage it, and to reduce their load, and to and also keep us on our toes.
Mr. Bhupender Singh from South City Mall, he has sent me, in fact, it's a query on my WhatsApp. Can a mall plan to adopt a deprived village under CSR to provide potable water, stable electricity for basic needs? I think nothing stops them. Any mall can adopt any village. I don't think there is any restriction, provided their resources permit.
CSR guidelines, I think there are 7 guidelines which you cannot adopt. I don't know them by heart, but they are fairly wide in scope. So there are no obvious restrictions, but you will have to just study these guidelines and then see if you can. I think the only restrictions I think you have to be careful is you cannot directly benefit your employees when doing these things. So
no, but he's talking about the community, about the village.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the guidelines are fairly wide in scope, except there are a few restrictions. I think if you see it, it should be clear on what you can do in terms. Adopting a village, building a school should be okay. Putting some infrastructure should be okay, but I'm not sure that whether you can pay for daily meals and then avail for CSR. I think there are certain restrictions. I think infrastructure building, I think, should not be a problem, but there may be some fine red lines. Shabbir, please.
Correct, Ashwin. So similar experience here, Rajiv. Bhupenderji, so adopting a village is a very broad term. So when we say adopting, is it building schools like Ashwin mentioned, building toilets, or maybe supporting the artists or artisans who might be there in that village? We have done a bit of that as well. So as long as those parameters or those expenses are under the 8-9 criteria that Ashwin mentioned, which qualify as CSR funds, we should be okay.
I think now I have to, wind up this session due to time constraint. Although we are getting questions, but it's not possible to take up those questions. So with this, we have to conclude our today's session. The session was really very interesting, enlightening, and informative. And I hope all my viewers must have enjoyed it must have learned a lot. So with this, and I'm thankful to all my panelists for sparing their precious time and enlightening the viewers. So with this, we conclude our today's session. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.